Good morning. I'd like to call the Committee on Corrections and Military Veterans to order. This is our Wednesday, February 7th agenda. It's 9:30 a.m. and we're in conference room 430 at the State Capitol. I just want to go over some housekeeping items. So for those folks on Zoom, please keep yourself muted and your video off while waiting to testify and after your testimony is complete. The Zoom chat function will allow you to chat with the technical staff only, so please use the chat only for technical issues. If you are disconnected unexpectedly, you may attempt to rejoin the meeting. If disconnected while presenting testimony, you may be allowed to continue if time permits. Please note the House is not responsible for any bad internet connections on the testifier's end. And in the event of a network failure, it may be necessary to reschedule the hearing or schedule a meeting for decision-making. In that case, an appropriate notice will be posted. And please avoid using any trademarked or copyright images. So with that, members, let's get right into our agenda. First up, we have House Bill 1904 relating to education. And first up to testify, we have Kelly Mae Douglas from the U.S. Department of Defense on Zoom. Okay.
Good morning, chairs. I'm sorry, if I was called on, I did not hear, but I was unmuted.
Oh, yes, go ahead.
Oh, yes, okay, thank you. Chairs, Chair Hashem and Vice Chair Chun and members of the committee, on behalf of military families and the Department of Defense, I'm writing in support, or I'm here in support of the policy expressed within HB 1904. And I'll stand on my written testimony, but thank you. Here, standing by for questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next, we have Bob Davis, DOE in support. Keith Hayashi, Superintendent, DOE in support. Emma Christofferson, from the Attorney General's Office on Zoom with comments. Oh, okay.
Good morning, Chair, Vice Chair, members. Emma Christofferson, Department of the Attorney General. As we noted in our testimony, there were concerns about the bill being construed to lead to unnecessary enrollment in schools outside of the student's geographic service area without establishing where they live. So we recommended changes to address this concern. I'm available for questions. Thank you.
Thank you. And we have the Hawaii Military Affairs Council in support. That's all the registered testifiers I have. Is there anyone who wishes to testify?
Good morning, Chair Hashem, Vice Chair Chun, Tammy Chun, and members of the committee. I'm Tammy Chun, Deputy Superintendent, here for Keith Hayashi, standing on our written testimony with comments and available for questions.
Thank you. Is there anybody else in the audience wishing to testify or on Zoom? Seeing none, members, questions? Seeing none, let's move on. So next we have House Bill 2225, and this is the proposed HD1 that was posted. This is relating to veterans' rights and benefits. First up we have Carlos Santana from the Veterans Caucus of the Democratic Party of Hawaii in opposition. Mark Christensen, Veterans Guarding VA Claims Consulting, in opposition on Zoom. President, okay. Oh, okay.
Great. You can hear me okay, I'm assuming?
Yes. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. On behalf of Veterans Guardian VA Claim Consulting, the largest veteran-owned and operated veterans disability claim company in the country, we oppose this bill. While it's an honorable endeavor to protect veterans, something we all share as a veteran myself, this bill would not only deny a veteran the right to choose how they pursue their own claim, but also fails to address a full spectrum of issues that are at hand. In the state of Hawaii, we've helped over 300 veterans, bringing in an additional $4 million in benefits to the state veterans in Hawaii. The VA system, as we know, is already broken. There's a backlog of nearly 400,000 claims. This bill does nothing but make that worse. The current VSO capacity in Hawaii is limited to 59 unique individual representatives in the entire state to handle the affairs of over 128,000 veterans. That means each VSO, veteran service officer, would handle the affairs of 2,100 veterans. They can't possibly do it in an effective and efficient way. This bill does nothing to help that. Over 70% of our clients every month come from having tried those free services and in some way are underserved or unhappy with those services. There's a better path forward. We can provide some recommendations to what that path should look like and what effective, true reform looks like and what measures would be effective to help protect veterans. But the current demand in this space is too vast for the VSOs to handle on their own, and highlights the fact that private enterprise should be involved in this in a way that's meaningful, respectful, and regulated. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Brian Johnson from Veterans Guardian in opposition on Zoom. Present. Okay, next is William Taylor from Veterans Guardian in opposition on Zoom. Okay. Mr. Taylor, your mic is muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Yeah, we can hear you.
Sorry about that. My name is retired Lieutenant Colonel Bill Feb. I'm a 23-year Army veteran and founder of Veterans Guardian. We are veteran-owned with over 200 employees, almost all of which are veterans, spouses of veterans, or spouses of active duty. We are a transparent and ethical company helping ensure veterans receive the benefits they are entitled to based on their gainful service to our nation. We helped almost 25 veterans last year, and we're on track to help almost 40,000 in the upcoming year. We have a 90% success rate with an average of 85 days per decision. We are transparent about veterans' options, including free services for VSOs and our billing structure, which is contingent on a successful outcome, and ensure every veteran chooses to use our service from a position of knowledge. We appreciate the intent of this bill, but we feel that it takes a sledgehammer to an issue that really requires a scalpel. We agree with the desire to protect veterans from unscrupulous actors. However, this bill fails to address any specific predatory practices. It just eliminates the entire private sector consulting space. We believe a better approach is to legislate guardrails against specific practices while maintaining freedom of choice and options for veterans navigating this difficult VA process. We should strive to provide veterans the broadest array of options while ensuring we stop predatory practices, not limiting options. We have been working at the federal level for the last couple of years in a bipartisan manner to achieve a compromise solution that maintains veterans' options and freedom of choice while legislating against predatory practices and providing oversight from the VA for all actors in this space. We hope to work additionally with the Hawaiian legislature to achieve those same goals. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Jamie Shadle, Veterans of Foreign Wars in Support.
Good morning, Chair, Vice Chair. Forgive my nervousness. This is the first time in 18 years I've been on this side of the table. My name is Jamie Shadell. I am a member of the National Legislative Committee of the Veterans of Foreign Wars here in Hawaii. I am here today to represent the thousands of members of the VFW and our auxiliary. The Hawaii VFW unanimously endorses HB 2225 and the proposed HD1, and we thank Representative Hashem for bringing this forward. The VFW is committed to putting predatory claim sharks out of business, and our efforts in Hawaii complement VFW's efforts in Congress. However, our bill in Congress has stalled as we are at an impasse against companies who bill veterans to secure their earned VA benefits. Today, we seek to at least protect veterans in Hawaii with HB 2225. The VFW knows that companies like Veterans Guardian will bill thousands of dollars for their services. Their actions were banned recently in New Jersey. Veterans Guardian lost a case this month in court relating to that new law, and they're being sued in North Carolina for charging illegal fees. Another group, VA Claims Insider, is being sued by the Texas Attorney General, seeking permanent injunction for defrauding veterans. The U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs has issued fraud alerts because of the actions of companies illegally billing veterans. Sadly, many more companies are out there, and they can be found all over social media, seeking veterans and surviving military spouses to make money off of veterans. Claim sharks have formed trade associations, and they are pursuing federal legislation to legitimize their bad behavior, and they are now hiring high-priced Honolulu lobbying firms to fight against HB 2225. That's not what Hawaii veterans want or deserve. There are many professionals accredited by the U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs to help veterans, and they do not bill for their services. There are VA-accredited employees working for veteran organizations like the VFW and the Disabled American Veterans, which have been doing benefit claims free of charge for years. There are also VA-accredited attorneys and Hawaii's own Office of Veteran Services that do great work. In addition to protecting veterans, we seek to protect the good actors like those I just named, and we're proud to have the National Association of State Directors, National Association of County Service Officers, and many other national veteran groups as our ally and supporter of this bipartisan bill. The VFW asks that you unanimously adopt HB 2225 and the proposed HD1 so that we can protect veterans and their loved ones. I'm happy to take any questions, and I again thank Representative Hashem and Senator Wakai and our supporters for championing this important legislation. Mahalo.
Thank you. Next, we have Alex Wilson in opposition and David Kuchik in opposition, and late testimony from Ashley Berry, National Association for Veteran Rights, on Zoom.
Hi, good afternoon, members of the committee. Chair, my name is Ashley Berry, Senior Vice President of Communications for the National Association for Veteran Rights. We are a national trade association that promotes ethical and transparent business practices among companies engaging with the service-disabled veteran community. I want to thank you for the opportunity. As a former senior executive serving veterans in the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs, as well as an investigative journalist for multiple television networks, I truly oppose this bill. I can tell you firsthand that what you may have been led to believe in discussions about this bill is not true, simply not true. In fact, what you just heard, not true. For instance, you may have been told from certain veteran service organizations that there is not a capacity issue in serving our veterans. But here are the facts in Hawaii currently. The estimated number of veterans is nearly more than 107,000, but the actual number of VSO representatives is just 30. So that means that there are more than 3,500 veterans per one VSO representative in your state. And as far as pending claims, there are nearly 7,000, which means the average number of days for the VA to make a claims decision is 152. But our members, including Veterans Guardian, an honest veteran-owned organization, is just 85 days. But this is what is most disturbing to me. Nearly 45% of claims have been pending over 125 days. And when you're talking about our nation's heroes, having to wait that long, it can have deadly consequences. And I personally am witness to that. From a personal standpoint, as a television journalist, I covered and even uncovered many atrocities happening to our veterans because sadly their claims were on hold, extended, forgotten even, because they weren't granted a choice. I spoke with widows and witnessed the aftermath of a suicide in a parking lot of the VA hospital in Arizona because a Navy veteran felt that he had absolutely no choice but to take his own life to make a statement about his frustrations getting his care and waiting for mental health benefits from the VA. Substandards should not be accepted as the norm. Our veterans deserve better, and they deserve a choice. Our association's members provide that. Thank you again for the opportunity to testify.
Thank you. That's all the registered testifiers I have. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to testify on this measure? Anyone on Zoom? Seeing none. Questions, members? Seeing none, we're moving on. So next up, we have House Bill 1735. And this is relating to offender reentry programs. And first up, we have Director Tommy Johnson in support.
Good morning, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. I'm Sana Munoz with the Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation, and we stand on our written testimony in support of this bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Fred Huynh, Chairman of the Hawaii Proling Authority.
HPA stands on its written testimony. We're available if we have any questions.
Thank you. We have Jamie Detweiler, Hawaii Federation of Republican Women in support. Connie Mitchell, IHS in support. Joy Schoenecker in support. Brian Ukuhart in support. Robert Nemed in support. Dennis Mahaffey in support. Tony Frascarelli in support. Lisa Bishop in support. Colin Ford in support. Seth Kamemoto with comments. Ellen Tano Ura in support. Liv Knutson in support. Terry Yoshinaga in support. Vernell Oku in support. Noella Von Wegant in support. Marianne Chrislip in support. Cindy Ajimine in support. Greg Misakian in support. Gary Shields in support. In person, is he here? Nope. And late testimony from Haley Cheng, Office of Public Defender, in support.
Hi. Good morning, Chair and Vice Chair and members of the committee. On behalf of the Office of the Public Defender, we will stand on our written testimony. And I did want to just take just a minute to expand a little bit on what we did submit. I've been a public defender and criminal defense attorney for going on 17 years. I've had the honor and privilege of representing at this point thousands of individuals, indigent members of our community. Obviously, incarceration, whether it's in our community correctional facilities or in Halava or Arizona, is a big part of our system. And I can just testify firsthand that the existing resources and lack of additional resources is a huge problem to reintegrating this population back into the community. Many of those that are held in our community correctional facilities are there pre-trial, often held for excess of 2 to 3 years, pending a resolution of their case for the bigger cases, and that is essentially dead time. They are not doing much of anything except maybe working on a work line, earning nominal wages, which is really not enough to sustain them if they are released. Those are in Halava or serving longer terms. Again, there are programming, but it's very, very limited. And oftentimes there's very lengthy wait lists for people to be able to engage in the available programming. So I'm very encouraged to hear the amount of community support that this bill has. especially from members of the Corrections Department and the Hawaii Paroling Authority, and I believe that that indicates the strong need to advance and expand the existing funding and programming for reentry for our incarcerated individuals. So thank you, and I will remain on standby for questions. Thank you.
Thank you. And we also have late testimony from Lauren Walker from Hawaii Friends of Restorative Justice. That's all the registered testifiers I have. Are there anybody else in the audience wishing to testify on this measure?
I wanted to give testimony.
Oh.
Gary Shields.
Oh, okay. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, I called your name earlier, but go ahead.
Hello, representatives. My name is Gary Shields. I have maybe 53 years' experience in the area of criminal justice on both sides of the fence. I am an ex-con, but I'm no longer looked that way. I'm also a pastor today in the community. I ran Hawaii's largest prison reintegration program in the state from the 90s to 2010. I don't do that now, I do other things. But so am I a professional? Yes, I understand both sides of the fence. And I know that our government has passed, I believe from what I have researched, over 12 bills since the 70s for prison industries, for correctional industries, for treatment, for all these different things, and almost none of them ever got off the ground. We wonder why we have problems and why the system keeps growing. See, these guys know how to come out and make hundreds of dollars in minutes. And you know, equal opportunity for employment for a lot of people coming out of the system isn't a reality. Their application usually will get filed, but not in a filing cabinet, in a garbage can. So we know that without a marketable job skill to make a meaningful wage, you know, a trade and ability, you can try to throw all the money you want at other things, but until they have that area under their belt, then you look at the transitional process of people having accountability structures in the process of going into the community. You'll see the recidivism rates drop. A lot of people look at me as the grandfather of prison transitional services. Actually, I started in the 80s when God put me, and I'm a Christian, when God put me at the helm of the greatest prison revival our system ever saw. I was a chaplain assistant looking at a life term. I was in and out of prison. I was a heroin addict doing $2,000 a day. So I understand that world. I understand the darkness, and I understand what these people deal with. And until we start to do things differently, and predominantly it's going to have to start in one place. It's going to have to start in the Department of Public Safety, and it's the mindset. Because until they will really come together and look at how we work with community, nothing will change. See, Chief Michael Nakamura, Honolulu Police Department, we started a program with him back in the 90s. He understood the importance of community policing. He understood the importance that it takes a village to raise a child. So we started a runaway referral program that became the Akamai Youth Project, won city, state, and national awards. We brought the recidivism rate down from 60% to 9 to 11% annually. Okay, phenomenal, but the mindset was there. It wasn't about some of the chiefs that came after, cops and robbers, right? We're the law enforcement and they're the criminal. Okay, hey, I'm all about law and order today, let me tell you. At one time I wasn't. But until we do things differently and implement programs and education and training appropriately, and not just say it in name, but I mean actually have programs set, it's fruitless. When we were looking at a ship in the mothball fleet, 1,600 bed spaces, 32 technical training platforms. At that time, back in the mid-2000s, about maybe half of our legislators, we were able to educate them about this ship. The admiral said we couldn't have it, but if the governor at the time, who was Lingo, would have petitioned the Navy, we could have got that ship. And I said, look, Governor, you spend $75 million a year housing 1,400 inmates in the mainland. And every time you send $1 out of state, there's a 5-to-1 impact. It's really like $300 million a year goes out of our economy for that practice alone. I said, Governor, here's a ship. We can bring all those people back, put them throughout the system. The people with the last year and a half of their stay, we get them on that ship. And we will train them, give them a trade. Everywhere from medical assistants to chefs to welders to whatever it is. I said, we will transform our system. And I had many of our legislators on board. But the governor said there was environmental issues. And he wasn't willing to petition the Navy for it. And it would have been about $7 million a year, not $300 million a year. With that, I support the bill, anything that will help educate and train. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, please testify. Yeah, please come up.
Thank you for letting me speak. Mulkern Landscaping and Nursery has been fortunate to work with inmates from Module 20, Sand Island Treatment Facility, La Maca. We've also worked with the Institute of Human Services, the Salvation Army, Goodwill. We pay people to work and provide on-the-job training. We provide incentives, paid tuition for certification, whether online or classroom. Upon successful completion, we'll give bonuses or raises. The programs in this bill are already in place. Many of our inmates on work furlough programs have completed courses while incarcerated: GED, culinary school, anger management. We need to build on existing programs. Years ago, I was at Kalani High School Special Ed Agricultural Program. I was disappointed that students who were receiving a stipend lacked interest and were producing an unmarketable product. Education and training are gifts and opportunities. If those receiving them don't appreciate the value, it's a waste of our resources. On opening day, I stopped by many of your offices promoting an antiquated idea that there should be a connection between work and entitlements. I suggested that for every $1,000 in benefits a person received, he or she be required to perform 8 hours a month of community service. That's equivalent to about $125 an hour in value, helping a nonprofit and an understaffed city agency or a state. This idea is no different than one's invited to a luau. You put money in the calabash or you help dig the emu. I recommend inserting revenue neutral to exceed the general fund or consider projects with unknown costs is irresponsible. Not only are our children leaving Hawaii, but many of the parents are following them because of our state's ever-increasing costs. And if I could just share one thing, I have two people on, I guess, work furlough programs. One, I'm kind of excited, was released, finished his program, so he's has an apartment now. The other is going to be released next week, is getting married, and I'm pretty excited about that. So he has, but I asked them to review the bill and I guess the Civil Beat article on recidivism, and one of them wrote, "This is a good idea, but remember, a person will only change if they really want to, no matter how much help is offered." Again, my main concern is costs. You know, I've seen nothing in any of the bills or any of the newspaper articles that you're talking about improving efficiency of the state, reducing costs, reducing taxes. It's just big budget bills, and it concerns me. You have some good programs in place, and thank you for letting me participate in them.
Thank you. Could we get your name for the record?
Thank you. Kevin Mulkern, Mulkern Landscaping Nursery. I have a small family-run business, and some of the people we're hiring from the facility have made my business successful. And it's unfortunate that occasionally when I mention this to people, they look down on it and feel I don't know. Anyway, it concerns me because I think it's important that more businesses do this.
Okay. Thank you. Is there anybody else in the audience wishing to testify on this measure? Seeing none, is there anybody on Zoom? Seeing none. Members, any questions? Seeing none?
I have a question.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Chair. Public safety? Or corrections? You changed your name. Anyways, what is the cost for this program?
Excuse me,
What would you estimate the cost for the program?
which,
The bill? Did you guys cost this out if we were to implement it?
we did not.
Okay. Okay, that's all. I'm assuming nobody else knows the cost. Okay, thank you very
I
much.
apologize, thank you.
Any other questions, members? Seeing none, we are going to recess for decision-making.
Okay.
Okay, we're reconvening our February 7th, 9:30 a.m. agenda for CMV for decision-making. First up, we have HB 1904 relating to education. The recommendation, members, is to pass out a HD1 and to change the effective date to July 1, 3000. Members, this measure goes to Education Committee and they can address the issues with the DOE. Any questions or concerns? Comments? Seeing none?
Okay,
Chair for the
members,
vote.
we're voting on HB 1904. Chair's recommendation is to pass with amendments. Chair and Vice Chair vote aye. Rep. Ganaden is excused. Ichiyama.
Aye.
Mizuno.
Aye.
Morikawa.
Aye.
Poi Poi.
Aye.
Takayama. Souza. Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you. Members, for the next bill, Chair Hashem will provide the recommendations.
Okay, this is the Veterans Bill. Okay, Chair's recommendation is to pass this with amendments. What we're going to do is we're going to cross out all on the bill, it's basically from page 1, line 8, the fees section, all the way, all of page 2, and we start from page 3. And so the restrictions on receiving compensation for fees. We're gonna eliminate that. We're gonna keep all the disclosure, the ethical standards, the disclosure will remain. And we're gonna add that the consultants must give, a fee must be disclosed from the onset, an estimated cost to the veteran. They must disclose how much the estimated cost to the veteran prior to engaging with the veteran, or not engaging, but prior to contracting for their services. And that's it. Any questions or concerns? Seeing none? I will take the vote. Oh, you can take it since you got it. Go ahead.
All right, members, voting on House Bill 2225. Recommendation is to pass with amendments. Chair and Vice Chair will vote aye. Knowing the excused absence of Representative Ganaden, are there any noes or reservations? Seeing none, Chair, your recommendation is adopted. Okay. We are moving on to our next bill, House Bill 1735, relating to offender reentry programs. Members, the recommendation for this bill is to pass a House Draft 1. We're going to change references to inmates to offenders just for consistency with the existing statute. Technical amendments for consistency, clarity, and style, and changing the effective date to July 1, 3000. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, Chair for the vote, House Draft 1.
Members are voting on HB 1735. Chair's recommendation is to pass with amendments, knowing the absence of Representative Ganadin. Is there any concerns or noes or reservations? Seeing none, Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you. And we're going to move on to the measure that was deferred from last week, House Bill 2725, relating to Correctional Facilities Authority. Members, this is a triple referral, and after conferring with the primary introducer, we're going to pass out a House Draft 1. What we are going to do is remove Section 2 of the bill. So basically, all the TMKs that were supposed to be transferred into this authority. And we're going to put those TMKs in the committee report and then change the effective date to July 1, 3000 for further discussion. And this still has to go to Judiciary and also Finance. So with that, members, do you have any questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none. Chair, for the vote.
Members are voting on HB 2725. Chair's recommendation is to pass with amendments, knowing the excused absence of Representative Ganadin. Is there any concerns, reservations, or noes? Seeing none, Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you, members. We are adjourned.